We've got a real problem developing with Islam in America. We know it. Everybody knows it. Everybody in Europe knows that we've got a problem with it. Everybody in Australia knows America's having a problem with it because they've already had the problem. The problem has been over there in Europe off and on for centuries. A lot of people don't realize that the Islamic people had set up a caliphate. They ran Spain for almost 800 years. They tried to take over all of Europe. They got stopped in France, but they were doing it. That is their goal. That's what they do. That's the doctrine of the church. You have to take over the world and have one religious world government. That has to be Islam. Their work is not done until that is done. And now they are here and they are working on doing it. We see it. The whole world knows it's going on. The whole world knows that's what they do. This is precisely why myself and many other Americans, millions of people, do not feel that Islam is actually a religion. To me, it is a cult. I say that because it was established entirely based on the teachings of one man. One man showed up and said that he'd talked to God and had all these messages. All the world should follow him and they're going to take over the world. That includes government. This isn't about religion. It's about government. It was government from the start. But when Muhammad started it, he knew that he was working with a bunch of basically primitive, uneducated desert people. And he knew that if he could convert them to this as a religion, that would unite them behind him. You had to use the aspect of religion to promote the cult that is a government system. That worked on those desert tribesmen. They'd had, I don't know, some kind of witch doctor belief system they already had in place. It was pretty primitive, and he knew it. That's why he went to them. He went to them, and he developed a following and raised an army from that following and went back to his hometown and slaughtered all the people for throwing him out in the first place. He went back and he slaughtered the people he grew up with, his own relatives, and that was the first war act of Islam, and they wound up taking that over too. They've been doing it ever since. Now, I hear plenty of people saying, well, I know some good Muslims. That's okay. Are any of them denouncing this? Are any of them denouncing the terrorism? I've always heard this about, well, yeah, I know some good Muslims. Well, yeah, sure, I know some that aren't out slaughtering people, but they're not out fighting this stuff. When the Christian churches, something happens in the name of a Christian church like that, was that Westlake Baptist Church, I think it was, out of Kansas, that was crazy people in the abortion fights. I mean, they were out there hiding behind religion and really doing some god-awful ugly things. Everybody in all the Christian churches denounced those people. You do not hear so-called, air quote, good Muslims out there denouncing any of this or even warning about what is to come. We know what is to come because they conquer, they move in, they infiltrate, they get their feet planted, they start working in the government, and then they take over and institute Sharia law. We're already seeing examples of that here. It's already happened all over Europe. Europe is an ugly mess right now. Culture is being destroyed here in a lot of U.S. cities. Now they've got this enormous mosque down in Houston. Whatever happened to Don't Mess with Texas? Now there's over 100 new mosques in Texas with a gigantic one right there in Houston. We've got a problem because the next thing, they start getting into government positions. So if we're going to address this, the problem that first comes to mind is people say, well, it's a religion and our Constitution says that we can't do anything about a religion. We have to give them freedom of religion. Well, that's because of the First Amendment, but there's something more you need to know about that. The First Amendment doesn't tell us citizens what we can or cannot do. It clearly says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. Okay, fine. Congress shall make no law. I'm not talking about Congress making a law banning it. You can toss that argument right out. There are ways that we can address the growing problem of Islam in America without having to violate our Constitution. We can use that enforcing laws that we already have on the books because Your rights don't give you the right to interfere with someone else's rights. And that's what we run into with Islam. There are 7 different points to consider. There are different ways that we can address this without having to violate the First Amendment. Number 1, a lot of people don't ever think about this. One of the problems that we've got, the way they get into government and take over and try to make government of Islam once they get in office, like they're doing up in Dearborn, they actually said Christians aren't welcome there. They want to establish a little caliphate and then have it spread. So we've got an oath of office that all of these people swear to. And all of these oaths of office say they will support, protect, defend the Constitution of the United States. Well, you can't do that if you're a Muslim. You cannot do that if you're following the directives of the Quran. The problem with our oath of office is it's not enforceable. We've never had an enforceable oath of office, and we desperately need one because we've got a lot of dirtballs of all different kinds in office that have violated their oath of office, and nothing ever happens to them. They violate it with impunity because our oath of office isn't enforceable. We need to make the oath enforceable. This has to be a key thing that will solve a lot of problems outside of Islam. But it can address Islam too. When we make the oath of office enforceable, we need to add the dialogue. We need to add the sentence that when they pledge to reject all other forms of law not developed under our Constitution. Make that part of the oath. I reject other forms of law not developed under our Constitution. There you go. Sharia law, out the window. Violate that, boom, you're out of office because the oath is enforceable. We have to have an enforceable oath of office. That's a change that is long overdue, that needs to be made anyway, and it would be a big help in combating the spread of Islam. So right there, that's point number 1, making the oath of office enforceable. That is a good tool that we could use into the distant future in combating Islam and Sharia law in America. Make it part of an enforceable oath of office. We're going to move on to number 2, but I've got 7 points here. If you think of more, let me know in the comments. If you see a problem with one of these, let me know. We've got to have this discussion. Like I say, this is just the first episode I'm doing on this, but we need feedback. We need to know what people are willing to do. It's important that we start having this discussion. It has to start somewhere because right now nobody's talking about an effective way to combat them. Point number 2, we've got mosques all over the country. They're breeding grounds for terrorists. We know that they collect money. They send it overseas to terrorist groups. They just had this big bust where they found out that there's these scams going on up in Minnesota, of course. They're using government money, sending it overseas to terrorist organizations. All of this is based in the mosque. We need to monitor the mosque. They had no problem with the FBI and other intelligence agencies monitoring churches during the Biden years when people were battling the abortion issue. They were talking about the transgender people. Our government intelligence agencies were hiding in our churches, monitoring people. People got arrested. Meanwhile, no one's monitoring the mosque. You know, the mosques have the same 501c3 tax-exempt status that real churches do. They shouldn't have that because they're political. Churches are afraid to get into politics, unless, of course, they're black churches. That's a different subject. But the mosques are highly political. They should be subject to the same rules as the Christian churches, the real churches. They need to be monitored. All the hate speech in there, all the political speech, they need to have their 501c3 status removed. Why make them comfortable here? They should not be comfortable here because they are not here to make America a better place. They are not here to enjoy the freedoms of America. They are here to change it, to remove the freedoms so that their system of government will work. Number 3, when there's a problem with the Christian churches, what was that one down in Kansas? I think they called it the Westlake Baptist Church. Back during the abortion days, those people were nuts. They were saying doing some vile, profane things, all in the name of anti-abortion movement. Media would approach other Christians and say, do you denounce what they're doing? Do you denounce what this Westlake Baptist Church is doing? Do you denounce it? Denounce it! Denounce it! Whoever asked a Muslim to denounce the Quran directives to lie to achieve your goals? Whoever asked the Muslims to denounce the Quran directives that oppress their women? Whoever asked the Muslims to denounce the Quran directives that preach violence in the name of religion? This has got to start. Media from both sides, the parties, they need to ask these people. They need to confront them. Make them say it. Do you denounce it? If they don't, there you go. If they do not denounce it, they shouldn't get their 501c3 status, and they sure shouldn't get to hold office. Number 4, we've got people in office that are Muslims. Muslim, I don't even know what they're supposed to be. They're Muslim to me. We've got Ilhan Omar is the easiest example, where she has multiple occasions she has said that her first loyalty is to Somalia. My country, she calls it. She already swore her oath under our Constitution. Again, the oath isn't enforceable. It needs to be, and if it was, when you start expressing loyalty to a foreign nation, you violated your oath. We can't allow that. What is wrong with America? Why does a country allow people to sit in our Congress when they will say in public on a microphone, knowing they're being recorded, they will say their first loyalty is to another foreign nation, especially a Muslim one? Some of these problems we deserve because we just haven't attacked them yet. I think the First Amendment is a lot of the reason people have been afraid to, and I don't know what the other reasons are, but I'm not comfortable with thinking about it because if it's not cowardice, what is it? We got too many cowards in office that won't address this stuff. Number 5, if we're going to enforce an oath of office, if we're going to demand that they reject other forms of law not developed under our Constitution when they swear the oath of office, you should have to do that for citizenship too. If you demand that simple loyalty as a condition of citizenship when people do come here, that will apply equally to those imams that are teaching the hatred, the founding of a Sharia law government here in the U.S. That applies to them too. They're out. You want to talk like that? Fine. We're monitoring you, remember? You're out. Yeah, a lot of them are from here. But when new people come in and they're Islamic, in the oath of citizenship, they should have to say the same thing. They should have to reject other forms of law not developed under our Constitution. If they won't do that, they can't get in. Of course, they will lie because their book tells them it's okay to lie to us infidels. But we need to make that so that if they do that, once they come here, once they become a citizen, the citizenship can be pulled. We need the tools. One of the problems we have right now, nothing is being done because we don't have the tools to use. We need the tools. If you're not going to be loyal to the country, you shouldn't get to come here and be a citizen. They must reject other forms of law not developed under our Constitution. Personally, I don't believe that Muslims should qualify for becoming U.S. citizens because it's completely incompatible with our constitutional republic. Right now, until we fix that, the oath of citizenship needs to be changed. Number 6, we've got these calls to prayer. There's noise pollution taking place in cities across the country now. 5:30 in the morning they start out with that. 5 times a day they do it. The people, they run off somewhere, grab their rug, take off their slippers, fall to their knees, praying to a God that's not even recognized by America. That's got to stop. We've got noise ordinances. Right away, that should be enough to kill it. Because even in Dearborn, Michigan, where they've got the Islamic government now, there's still only 45% Islamic up there. That means 55% of the people don't want to hear that nonsense at 5:30 in the morning. It is noise pollution. We've got noise ordinances in every city across the country just to enforce them. Some of this heavy lifting is going to have to be done by residents in their own neighborhood. People in America have got to quit thinking someone else is going to save them when they've got local laws that they could use themselves, and they're not doing it. Noise ordinances alone are enough to kill that annoying, disruptive call to prayer at 5:30 in the morning that nobody wants to hear. Come on, some of this stuff isn't even complicated, and that doesn't interfere with the First Amendment because their rights don't interfere with your rights, like the right to sleep in past 5:30. Number 7, we hear there are good ones. I've heard that over and over. Oh, I know some good Muslims. I know some good Muslims. Well, I've known an awful lot of Muslims. Them were all trying to kill me. I haven't been attacked by one yet. However, We don't know what they support. I don't see them out there denouncing anything. The problem is when you talk to them, you don't even know what sect they're in. Do you realize how many different sects? Of course, in the Christian church, that we have a lot of different denominations. We know that. But none of them are trying to form a government and take over foreign nations. That's what they do. We didn't move to their country and try to take over. No, we built a country that's so much better than theirs, they want to come here and take it over. Well, why are we stupid enough to allow that? As far as the sects in Islam go, and that is sects, S-E-C-T-S, sects. I know what it sounds like, but this got nothing to do with goats. But as far as the sect of Islam goes, Muhammad himself said that they would develop into 73 sects, and only one would be the true sect. Of course, he didn't say what that was, so right away, he's given them reason to fight each other, and that's what they do. It's not just us that they hate. They hate each other. They hate the sect that isn't the same sect that they're in with their sect. You got the Sunnis and the Shias. They fight all the time. They kill each other. They slaughter each other. You got the Boko Haram over there in Africa that has killed millions of people. It's a violent terrorist sect. There's a lot of these sects that are violent. Muhammad set the stage for these sects to be attacking each other when he said 72 of the 73 will be bad, and they will not get the salvation of Allah. There will be only one. Like I said, he didn't say which one it was, so I guess the fight is on, huh? May the best sect win. But a lot of these sects just exist for terrorism, for violence, for war, for establishing the caliphates. We need to identify these sects and the mosques that they operate out of. That's another reason for going back to, number 2, monitoring the mosques. That's another reason we need to. All of these mosques need to be monitored. All of these sects that are violent, that have any ties to terrorism at all, they need out of here. They need to be banned as terrorist organizations, just like we've done with Tren de Agua, just like we've done with the Sinaloa cartel. Anybody else that's a danger to this country, they get banned, they get thrown out. All it requires is ties to a terrorist organization. Simple as that. We need to identify the violent terrorist sects or those who support them financially, morally, religiously, however you want to call it. Any kind of support they give to these, boom, you're out of here. They got to be banned from the country, identified as terrorists, and treated like the terrorists that they are. We can't allow this growing danger until we have regrets, like Europe is going through right now. These simple 7 points are just a starter, just to get people thinking about it, because there are possibilities. There's more to discuss later. I'm not going to load up too much all at once in the beginning here, but this is food for thought for getting started. We've got to start the discussions. We've got to have the debates, and there's even more to it that I'm going to do another episode on later, but I don't want this to turn into a 3-hour tour. Anyway, we got to get this right, my friends. We got to think about it. We got to work on it. We got to get it right. And if we do, maybe God will continue to bless this great country of ours. Thanks for listening.